T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3.
The most powerful man in the world can be banned from social media, but the least powerful person in the world cannot be banned from Bitcoin. What do you think of that, Max?
Wow, yeah. Okay, this is exciting. Let's go to Nic Carter. And according to his Twitter bio, he is a serf on Jack's feudal estate. Of course, Nic Carter is well known in the Bitcoin community. He's been tweeting and writing and talking and being at conferences for years and years. He's kind of like one of the big heads, as they say in Europe. A big head in France is somebody who's a big thinker and an excellent writer. So, Nic, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Max and Stacy. It's my pleasure to be here.
Think tanks and mainstream media as sources of legitimate news. They get to determine if you, Nic Carter, are spreading disinformation by your opinion. And this comes into play with Bitcoin because we've seen they all agree, mostly the mainstream media, that Bitcoin is the dream is dead. They believe it's a bubble, it's a scam, or as Christine Lagarde would say, and she's an official that should be accepted as a truth teller according to the new metrics on the likes of Twitter and Facebook, that she says it's a reprehensible currency used to launder money. So, what about that sort of dichotomy of who gets to be the arbiter of truth?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the most offensive things about this awful setup we have is the epistemic privilege that these platforms wield. They really presume that they have some sort of special purchase on the science and facts, which was obviously, they became total parodies of themselves during COVID when there was a very fast moving information environment. New things were coming to light and some policy they'd had in place, you're not allowed to question the WHO, and then the WHO would reverse themselves a week later. So, we're expected to just have amnesia over the fact that it's extremely volatile, what is considered to be true. And we're still expected to embrace the truth as handed down by these platforms, which is comical in the extreme. And just the very fact of their existing, these hard facts, is incredibly questionable to me. To me, they generally seem more like political opinions than facts, the things that the fact checkers provide for us. But yeah, in that hierarchy of the feudal hierarchy, you have another level, which I didn't describe, which is the people that, like the equivalent of Grima Wormtongue, in Lord of the Rings, whispering in the king's ear saying, oh yeah, COVID isn't airborne in transmission, and just determining what the true facts are and thus sanctioning any speech that's contrary to them. And of course, Bitcoiners, this is one advantage we have because we are totally inoculated against, effectively the cathedral telling us what's true and what's not true. Because if you believed the press at any point, regarding Bitcoin in the last decade, you didn't buy it. And if you disbelieved the press, you bought it. So everybody in Bitcoin today is someone that at some point listened to or, consulted the press and then rejected it. So I would say all Bitcoiners have actually been trained to reflexively reject opinions that are handed down from upon high, from the think tank, academia, media triumvirate. And there are people that are, Bitcoin selects for free thinkers, right? You kind of have to be a free thinker to be a Bitcoiner. So that's one kind of beauty of this, is that Bitcoiners as a demographic are, truly independent thinkers, and we're less exposed to this, completely authoritarian desire to determine what's true or not, even, outside the Bitcoin context. So we reflexively reject when people make these appeals to authority or appeals to academia or to, the science or whatever. So that's something that's really encouraging about Bitcoiners.
The institution of the Vatican, which controlled all of Europe and thought of Europe and told you what was the truth, it was partly because, as you're describing with COVID and the WHO and the Federal Reserve, saying that there will never be a collapse again, there will never be a financial crisis again. The institution at that time that everybody looked to for what was the official truth was the Vatican. And when the bubonic plague came, they didn't know how to explain it. They didn't know they didn't know how to tell the people why half of Europe just died. So the people lost faith in the institution that was supposedly in charge of the truth. And I think we're seeing that now. Bitcoiners are exposing all the lies, even if without intent. Look at as Biden, when it was clear that he was going to win Georgia, both seats, and then could pass whatever trillions of dollars he wanted and stimulus, Bitcoin went crazy. It went ballistic and parabolic.